Alright guys, welcome back. If you're still with me, then I applaud you. Hope I'm not boring you too much. I kind of feel like I'm running things through a little bit fast, so I'll try to hit everything. Where we left off last time is I went in for my initial appointment. I went over the, make sure you ask about the medical supplies that they give you, knee braces and stuff like that, costs. And don't feel like embarrassed, because that's kind of how I get. Like, I don't want to be the doctor when he gives you a knee brace, be like, dude, how much does this cost? I don't want to feel like, but really you should, because you'll end up in my situation. Now I feel like I have like a mini battle going with them, or it's going to start when I call and kind of tell them that I'm not going to pay for all of it. But anyway, I got my MRI done, and I had an appointment for 2 weeks after my MRI to go see my doctor. And I was kind of antsy a little bit, wanting to know. I mean, my doctor was like 99.9% sure that I tore my ACL, so I wasn't like that, I wasn't under any impression that it was like, is it torn, is it? I was pretty sure it was, but, who knows? I could have been touched by God himself one night and fixed it for me. But, so I called like 4 days after my MRI, and I talked to the nurse, and she was able to tell me that, yeah, they did tear my ACL, but she wasn't allowed to tell me anything else. So you can call and ask for your results of the MRI before your doctor's appointment. They will tell you, but they can't get into any detail. She was, like I said, she was able to confirm that it was torn. So I had my appointment. My appointment was actually yesterday. I'm doing this on a Tuesday. So it was Monday the 15th. I think today's the 16th. So I went in, and I had a lot of questions. I actually looked up a doctor in the area, or I heard about a doctor in the area from a couple other different people. He's one of the current doctors for the U.S. ski team, and he's based out of New Hampshire. He's written a couple books actually on the mental side of a knee injury and what you should do. He wrote an article for the local paper. So he's a pretty in-depth guy, and he kind of gave you a checklist of what to ask your doctor. I'll post a link to that article down below so you can take a look at it. But the main questions were, you need to ask your doctor or your surgeon, how many ACLs do you do in a year? And I guess he should say, more than 10 to 12. He shouldn't be doing 3 or 4 a year, because this is kind of a thing that you need to keep up with, and you need to know what you're doing. So you want a guy who's obviously going to be up in, the teens. How often or how many has he done? He needs to say a lot, obviously. I mean, these are probably things you'll know going in. But ask him the questions anyway, because you never know. You could be under the impression this guy does a great job and he does a lot, but he may only do 2 or 3 a year, and that's kind of a red flag. So I went in, and this is kind of where things went south a little bit. He kind of came in, he felt my knee again, he said everything looks good. He handed me some... my dog. He came in and he handed me a couple pieces of paper, which were the report for my MRI. So basically he looked at my MRI, and then he dictated to his nurse or whoever, and they wrote up a report about what the diagnosis was. He didn't actually go over the MRI with me. He didn't put it on board and say, this is what this is. And I kind of kept asking him questions about it, but he was being very vague. He was in a hurry. So he didn't answer a lot of my questions. I asked him, how many ACLs do you do? Do you a lot? He said, yeah, this place does more than anywhere in New Hampshire, and I do the most here. Now, what that means, I don't know. He wouldn't give me a number. But my MRI revealed, and this is kind of weird, I haven't actually tore my ACL, but there's a lot of different things that can happen with a knee when you tear your ACL. So I completely tore my ACL. My LCL, my PCL, and my MCL are completely fine. My patella is fine. My lateral meniscus is fine, but I tore my medial meniscus. So I have a torn ACL. I tore my medial meniscus, I think it is. Actually, I have the report here. Torn medial meniscus. And I have multiple bone bruises, which I guess is pretty normal when you injure yourself, and that's where I was getting a little bit of pain from. is the bone bruises, and then I have a joint infusion, which I guess is just some fluid in your knee, which is going to happen when you have an injury. So it's pretty straightforward. It's not like I shredded every ligament. And where I'm at now is, this is my knee, if you can see it. I don't know if you can or not. But I pretty much, it's pretty fine. It's pretty much fine. I mean, I could bend it and lower it and, do things. I pretty much have all the range of motion in my leg that you could probably ask for. My other one, just for comparison's sake. I can walk fine. I don't really have a limp. Like I said, I wear my brace. I've actually found myself running up the stairs a little bit when I take my dog down, just out of natural habit, and I'm fine. But if I cut or turn the wrong way or lock my foot down and kind of move and it gets jammed, it hurts. So I definitely remember that I have an ACL injury. But otherwise, it's not that bad. So that was the actual diagnosis. That's where my knee is at now. But I left my surgeon's office with a lot of questions. I have this is a pieces of paper that they gave me. This is the first one, and this is the second one. So 2 whole reports. So it's very detailed. It tells you a lot on there. But I kind of wish I would have heard from him what in the knee happened. I didn't get any of that. So I had the idea. A lot of people had told me to get a second opinion, and to me it's like, why would you want to get a second opinion for an ACL when all of it's right here? It's on the MRI. The ACL is torn, and I have a little torn meniscus. But I actually left there with a lot of questions, and I was like, I don't think that that's kind of normal. I shouldn't have all these questions. After seeing my doctor for basically what was the last time before surgery. That was the last time I was going to see him before I had surgery. So I still had all these questions. Like I said, some people had asked me about a second, are you getting a second opinion? I kind of turned them down, and then I thought more about it. So I have to stop here now. But in the next video, I'll talk about how I got a second opinion.